And welcome to the Darkened Hour. This is your host, Joshua X. No heart. And with me, we have an extra person, if you guys haven't noticed. But, it's just an extra magnificent, extraordinary, awesome, just redonkulous. Good. Look at this guy's face. He's like Count Drogo. Anyway, guys.
Just get between his legs and do what you need to do.
Listen, we'll get to that after the show. That's the darker hour, okay? So, guys, how you guys doing? Please.
Oh, my God.
Introduce yourselves, as we normally do every weekend.
I guess you guys should hear that I am known as Valentinez Alquila Nalazivac Cesarabo Jerez. Gombi Gobella, Blue Stradivari, Talented Pierre Andre Charton Hamos, Savada Vinci, Baldios George Duetzel Kaiser III. Don't hesitate to call.
There's a third in there.
That's the part I always remember.
Yeah, just the third.
Yeah, this is Tia LaBeouf, a.k.a. Tia Belcher.
This is Mixed Drogo.
Mixed Drogo.
Yeah.
Man,
Oh, man.
You look too good to be on camera, my man.
What is
What? Oh,
This is Final Fantasy.
Nathan. What?
What is going on?
Okay.
That threw me off.
That's awesome.
Scared me.
Hold on. Who these trash people on YouTube? Who's
Oh.
Nathan? Oh, we got. Okay, first of all, this isn't villainy burn chat. Now, if you want to, you come in with the heat.
Yo.
We'll stick you with Tio's gonna destroy your ass, all right?
Well, what
Tio's right there.
happened?
It's cool, man.
Listen,
But anyway,
she
You
got
got
her boy
Nathan Drake over here.
Yeah. Well, thank you for listening. Thank you for
Thank you for the
watching us.
scribes.
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
are now a stand and part of the Hourgrass.
Hourgrass. Wow.
Hourgrass, yes.
All right,
I got
cool.
I was Japanese. I'm sorry.
Cool,
Our
cool.
Groves.
All right, guys.
villain, my villain.
Oh, gnarly
sent me.
Marv. All right.
Marv sent
What's
me.
up, Marv?
Marv sent me.
Don't
Nice.
don't start pointing fingers now, man.
You guys got us wonderful.
All right.
All right, so as you guys, those who are listening in, if you guys don't know, we are a podcast or a visual podcast. As we talk about, comic books and movies and anything geek culture that we like, and it's hip, what's trendy, and people like as well. But in the last 2 weeks, we have a specific theme that we want to keep consistent, because this is October, and we are within the 31 days of Halloween. And last week we spoke about, as it was, and I quote, what makes a horror movie horror, and we had a really great time last week. Now today, we want to shift gears a little bit, because it was last week was mainly about movies and series, and but now it's more about different methods. Comic books, games, and again, even if we have to touch on movies, we'll touch on movies as well. But the question is, we all like comic books here. Obviously, we read comic books, and we know how easy and how hard it is to make a horror movie, or in other words, to make that horror genre stick. Why is it so difficult? As we're avid comic book readers, or even we play games as well, why is it so difficult to put it on a comic book? I mean, we know the suspense. You spoke about it last week. We can add the suspense in there. We can make something unusual. These are elements that we use to make a good, either a series or a short film, whatever it is.
What up, the Gaming Planet?
What up, bro?
Oh, right,
What's
Gaming
up?
Planet. But
What's going on?
how can they elicit that same tactic when you turn a page?
That same question goes out to you, audience.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So, basically, how I look at it is you use the same elements that a movie would use to make a book in that same aspect. But it's a lot harder to manipulate, because you have to find, within those first few pages, or even on the cover art of the book, you have to make sure that it pulls you in. You have to be immersed in the world within those first few pages, or even the cover. So, a lot of it is kind of like... you gotta have some shock value in some cases.
Yeah.
You gotta make sure they're interested from the word, because a lot of good horror movies, the suspense is built up through like developing some of the character and seeing the world around them and who they interact with. When it comes to like a book, either be it just general literature or a comic book, you don't really have the patience for that, I noticed. Like when comic books kind of have to wow you from the rip, because
Absolutely.
it's very visual out the rip. It doesn't have auditory sounds. It doesn't have
Exactly. That's what I was going to touch.
Yeah.
Is that there's the accompanying of audio when it comes to movies, when it comes to series. There's no such thing. It's all in your imagination at this point. I'm sure it's a little. I guess it's harder when it comes to novels. It's just nothing but words, and the only thing that you have to accompany you is your mind. Now let's say now with comic books, you have the storyboard there. You don't have the sound, but you have at least the visual aspect of it, and it's like as if you're seeing through cuts of a movie, but it's on still photos. So yeah, Completely agree.
Yeah.
How about you, LaBeouf? LaBeouf.
Just do it.
This gives me a lot to chew on a sense of how people consume horror. Some people can watch a film and be scared, and people can read a Stephen King novel and feel the same exact amount of fear and whatnot. People who are more cerebral can read something that's in text and word and feel the same kind of fear the protagonist does.
Okay.
But when it comes to a comic book, they have a unique challenge, like we said, right? How do you... And they also have a playground to show the most horrific things without having to worry about, costumes or how we're going to actually make this happen. And it can go as far as it wants to, shock value wise. You can get into some pretty hairy territory as the things I've seen in some of these horror comics like Crossed, who takes it to the next level of gore.
I want to touch on Cross. I want to touch on stuff like that because they use an element there, and that element is, pardon the word, it's just fuckery. That's the whole point of Cross, and that's the truth. That's the truth.
We allow you one F-bomb.
Right, and it's and the thing about the thing about Cross is
Oh, right.
Him one?
Right.
Okay, I'm trying. Hey, this is a Christian podcast, okay? Christian podcast. We gotta keep it Christian here.
We're all gonna burn.
But see, now with Cross is is it because of the gore? But we'll touch about that in a few minutes.
All right.
Yes.
Yeah,
I'm glad you brought up Cross because
So-
I'm
Yeah.
gonna dig into Cross and compare it to the major difference between that and something as clearly equally gory
Right.
as Battle Royale.
Ooh, that's actually a really good crossover.
Yeah.
They're trying to accomplish the same thing.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
That's pretty
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, for me, as like general horror, I just want something to scare me. In general, because like the only thing when I was a kid, when I watched anything horror, was like Hellraiser was my very first horror movie, and
Cool points.
that scared me. That scared me, and ever since then, never been scared of anything else.
Yeah.
Nothing really scared me.
Was Hellraiser a book first?
No, it wasn't.
It wasn't,
not that I
right?
know of. Not that I know of.
Because I know that there is some... I think it was. Because the original Hellraiser is a woman. I'm trying
Was
to
it?
say...
And,
Yes.
yeah, there is a
Oh,
book. I've
interesting.
never read it, but there is a book. I don't know what
Yeah.
came. Same thing. I don't know.
I don't know what came
Yeah, I
first.
wouldn't-
I'm
I
really...
wouldn't
Is
know.
it
I don't know what
chicken
came
or
first, the
egg?
chicken or the egg, or the egg chicken, or the
Well,
chicken egg.
Yeah.
Well, that's it. Well, I mean,
Right.
now, mind you, in that time,
Yeah.
and, this is the 80s we're talking about, and I can be
Right.
completely wrong. I'm gonna do my fact checking after this to see,
Right.
because Hellraiser is one of my biggest things here. Now, mind you, in the 80s, there weren't much like other than Star Wars. There was like, the book first came out, and then it was the adaptation of the
Fact
movie.
check us on that, by
Please,
the way.
by all
Yeah,
means.
feel free to...
Seriously.
By the way, Gnarly Marv says, "Mandar."
Oh, he's going back and forth, man.
Okay,
Villainy,
Yeah.
villainy stuff there.
Cool. Yeah. So, absolutely not. Yeah, you're completely right. I'm gonna, fact check. Please let us know if you're,
Yeah.
on the phones, whatnot. So now, mind you, is this because of? Now, I'm going back on the comic books here because now that I'm thinking about it, the novels and even comic books are two different things.
Absolutely.
And
we
The
have a
Crow
question?
was a great harp. Yes,
Yo.
The Crow.
Oh, that's actually a really
Absolutely.
good example.
Exactly. If
No
you
doubt.
Very good example.
not gonna lie to you, I feel like sometimes like anime wise, like JoJo Bizarre Adventure, I feel like they got that off of Crow. To be honest.
Oh yeah, there's a lot
If-
of influence. Well, first of all, when it comes to JoJo's, they
Hey,
are very, very
they're
diverse. Like they
very
take a lot
Fist
of
of the
bits and
North
pieces.
Star.
It's-
Yeah, they're a blender.
Hence why it's called
Very-
Bizarre Adventure because it takes
Yeah.
influence from so
It's absurd
many
after a while.
Yeah.
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 It's absolutely absurd.
Now,
It knows it.
now, mind you,
It's self-aware at that.
Yeah.
right now, when we read a comic book, a novel, there's again the imagination. There's nothing but words in there. Now, mind you, there's one thing that novels have
Yes, it did
that
make a comic.
comic books barely have, and when they do have it, it's very short supply, and that's narration. Because the narration works with the art. And sure, you have your few quips of narration depending on who is the perspective that's coming out of what character in the comic books.
Right.
Whereas in the novels, you have the narration will be the first, second, or even third person narration, thus can guide us. Even the narration can be even the audio at some points. So yeah, I mean, novel in terms of horror novel has been mastered, has been perfected at one point. Comic books, not so much. Me and Tia, we had a little back and forth as to we barely
Yeah.
see anything when it comes to horror.
Yeah.
And when we do see
They're
it,
adaptations.
it's usually
obvious.
adaptations from games.
Oh yeah, like
from
Nightmare on Elm Street. Of course, we've seen it before.
H.P. Lovecraft.
Third 30 Days of Night.
Hey.
There you go.
You
There you go. Mm-hmm.
There was another comic. We had an indie comic. We just
Yeah.
The Rot.
The Rot, which is an indie comic
Rot.
that this guy was at. His name is Jonathan Miller, and he was selling comic books at the Fortress of Solitude. And I was like, okay, what do you got that's scary? And he had a ton. These are independent comics that are pursuing the horror when it's not the most popular genre.
Absolutely.
You know, so I was really cool.
Gaming Planet said, "Oh yeah, From Hell was one thing too. Yeah, didn't they make a movie with Johnny Depp?
Yes.
From Hell?
Walking Dead, which you all know, Marvel. Everybody knows the Dead Walkings.
Yeah, Hellraiser made a comic book. Yeah, Walking Dead, obviously.
Walking Dead's like the elephant in the room. You know what I mean?
But I mean, now at this
the
point,
elephant in the room. You can see my shirt.
now mind you,
tonight.
let me ask you a question: is the Walking Dead comics horror at this point?
At this point, no.
It's survivalist.
That's what I'm saying.
It's lost that fear edge, and I guess that's a good way to separate that fear edge and where it can be lost. So that's when I'll bring up something like Cross and something like Battle Royale. Because when it comes to something like Battle Royale and Cross, they take a real world and make it abnormal, which I always talk about. So let's look at Cross, where it's a disease where they get the rash over their eyes and down their faces, and it makes them very savage and very feral, like
primal
darkest impulses.
Like all the dark natures of a human being are now full frontal, and it becomes something of a survival where like this is even worse than zombies because you're going against just straight up human beings. Granted, they still have the same weaknesses as human beings, but they're so full frontal on primal. They don't have the fear. They don't really feel pain the same. It's like you might as well be facing zombies who are on like
adrenaline rush. No, they're terrifying.
So as you go through the pages, like you sympathize with these characters where like you're almost forced to relate it because it's such hardcore gore right out the gate. But the relatability is kind of lost. Spawn walks.
Yes,
yes, it does.
We're gonna get to that.
Spawn's a biggie. Spawn's a big one.
That's not.
So as you go through the story across, it kind of loses that where it gets kind of like caught up in how disturbing it can be rather than relating to these characters. And I can compare that to Saw.
Oh yeah,
I can definitely compare to Saw. Where like there's no real fear factor in Saw. It's just like how painful can these deaths? How much can I make you feel the pain in these people? That's all it is.
And that continued on as more parts came out because I know when the first Saw came out, that terrified the hell out of me.
It's actually exactly. It starts off scary,
right.
It was fresh,
but then it doesn't hold on to it because it learns like shock value keeps you interested.
Right, and I would say it's all about the shock value at this point.
Now, when it comes to something that's equally shock value, which is Battle Royale, something that Hunger Games tried to be, we take kids and make them kill each other. If you ever read the manga Battle Royale or saw the Japanese live-action movie, that's what it's eliciting, is that these are kids who are forced to kill each other. How would you feel in a situation? So you see people who are best friends forced to kill each other, or like you watch your best friend die. You see people who are manipulating your childhood crush is now like trying to kill you. It's like there's not much horror out the gate, but then when they start whittling down to classmates and you start like really getting deep into some of these characters' like personal lives, you start feeling for them. You're afraid of what's going to happen to them. You as a viewer is now just afraid of who you care about, and then that's where the fear is now resonating. Because then there's this one super powerful kid with the Uzi where he has infinite bullets for whatever freaking reason. And he moves, and he moves like Spider-Man. Like this guy is freaking annoying. Like I'm reading his book, I'm like, why has no one scratched him? Yeah, the slick back hair, and like he was literally clean, literally clean.
That ice cream fall off his,
Yeah, he could be the mint chocolate chip. Yeah, he's wearing all white and he's eating mint chocolate chip ice cream, and some drips down onto his white shoes. So he takes his the handkerchief out of his lapel, wipes it down. Now the handkerchief is all green, and when it lifts up and goes past his belt, he's wearing all green. And his ice cream is vanilla.
That movie? Oh, come on.
Yeah.
In the manga, he's obnoxiously clean.
He's obnoxious. No, he's that clean.
He's vicious.
Now pulling it back is like that's where that difference that makes a difference between Crossed and Battle Royale, because they're both the gore. It's how crazy these people have to do, how vicious these people will be. But do you start losing care for some of the characters in Crossed, whereas you care for so many characters in this book, whereas like that's why I compared to Hunger Games, because you feel for Rue. You were afraid for Katniss because you're looking at these people who are generally defenseless and who aren't even trying to fight back. They're just trying to survive because they were forced into this so out of whack.
So let me ask, so I'm glad now you're giving me like, okay, so you said the fear comes from the fact of relatability in terms of you like these characters and they might die. Oh my lord, that's not right. Yeah. Okay, cool. Now let's look at these other movies. You know, like these Jasons, these Freddy Kruegers. We barely care about any of these bystanders.
Yes.
Disposable.
Right. I was watching Jason 7 literally Friday night.
Which one was that?
That's the psychic when she resurrects him from.
Oh, that's the good one.
It's funny.
Yes,
it's a good one
hilarious.
Because it's hilarious.
And you get to see his face in that one too. Yeah, that's awesome. Now, Now, do you think that if you have these horror movies, if they make us care about their pedestrians, if you will,
That's all they
think
are.
it'll be
Bystanders.
Do you think it'll be a little more? It'll be more easier to digest in terms of, oh, I don't want this guy to die this horrible death in this movie. Whereas like, oh, this is just stereotypical guy is gonna die soon. I just want to see how he dies.
I have an answer for that.
Yeah.
I haven't read Battle Royale since I was 15. I remember Kiriyama. I don't remember anybody in Cross. I read that in 2011.
That's the point I make. Yeah, and when you relate to the character, they get attached to you. Even if you're related to the villain, it's like, yo, I'm afraid of him. I would hate to see him in real life.
Now my question is not that. Now let's say there's different types of fear out there. That is absolutely true. Now what about the fear of what's lurking inside this dark corridor? What's lurking behind under the bed? Monster type of fear, if you will. How can we?
Okay.
You're an artist and you have an artist background, of course. Let me ask you guys this: how can you, for the lack of a better word, allocate that to the viewer who are reading this?
All right, I have a book.
Make me feel like I want to look under my bed when I go to night after I read a comic book.
I just thought of something. This isn't the closest I want to get, but I have a Japanese version of Witchblade where it's a high scroller. It really doesn't show well up on the camera though, but this one has where demons are amongst our midst.
Yeah.
Regular people are actually monsters who are trying to eat your flesh.
Okay.
So with that being said, you have the idea of who can you trust, where you can relate to real life. Because if you're superstitious enough, you could believe in the demon aspect. And I'll take it a step further. There's a manga based on Jack the Ripper. And that, I don't know if you've ever read it, but it is amazing. Jack the Ripper is actually a hero in the story.
What? Interesting.
The women who he's slaughtering are actually demons.
Right.
In disguise.
I've seen that before.
Mazen showed us it.
Yeah, I've seen that. It was pretty interesting. Yeah.
It's really good. And I think how I would listen as an artist is.
Let's see. Okay. All right, man. Nathan, thank you very much, man.
Thank you for jumping in. Yeah, we got more stuff coming along down the road.
Absolutely.
Thank you for showing up. So, as an artist, I would do the same elements as Jack the Ripper, where you're unsure of what you're looking at because nothing can be trusted anymore. We have a powerful main character like Jack the Ripper where he can detect the demon, sure. But if I was to do something like that, I wouldn't give us the powerful character out the gate.
Right.
I would give us somebody who's kind of mid-ground where they can handle it, but they're not, this isn't their profession. They're not, executive murderer of demons or monsters, if you will. So where I would make you as paranoid as the character is. So everything that they come across is a sign that you're something that's out to get me. Like the game Prop Hunt, but imagine if Prop Hunt where the props could kill you.
It's the notion of paranoia.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Like, anything can be.
And that's
that
pretty
makes
much
sense.
how I would elicit where like anything it would be like specific clues that are like something that's common but uncommon enough to make you suspicious.
Suspense of what can be what. Something may not be what you normally would think, and that's perfect. That's awesome. How about you, Tia? LaBeouf. I just LaBeouf. This is great.
Well, what was the question?
Make your
I didn't
dreams
catch
come
the
true.
question.
The question was as an artist. I know he was an artist, and his, you had a artist background. How would you make me afraid of looking, going to sleep at night after reading a comic?
In a comic book, it's about stylistic choices,
yeah,
and everything, and getting really nitty gritty in detail. Knowing you, aquatic things aren't your friends.
Ooh, something sharp teeth, aquatic thing.
Oh,
you are there. You know what? Yes.
So his aquatic things, my fear of fish and mirrors. We're kind of in the same boat here. But have you seen her Maxim magazine Cthulhu's?
Excuse me?
What?
Him and his Speedos.
Right.
So get back to what you were saying, but you got to show him that stuff. It's beautiful.
Yeah, so I drew a Cthulhu or whatnot.
And you have yet to show me this.
I haven't, because I'm such a good friend. You know what I mean? I care a lot about your mental well-being.
You know what? Yeah.
But it's cute though. Like it's not scary. I don't think. But when it comes down to it, to truly strike kind of fear, I do have to refer back to Cross because the scenes are so brutal. And just unsympathetic, and it was just like in your face. I had never read anything like that before in my life. So when it comes to fear, you do have to step it up. You do have to push what you can, because do what the movies can't. They want to make. There was a whole rumor going around that they want to make a Cross movie. I'm like, oh no, it's not gonna happen.
It better be rated R, and it better be some sort of indie. It
better be banned in some countries.
It has
bad.
to be banned.
Like,
Absolutely, it has to be,
because it's brutal, and you can explore those things in the confines of an illustration, the confines of a panel, because there's a separation between you. When you're immersed into a film, I mean,
people will get.
Yeah,
People get upset
like,
about it. Yeah.
because especially if the actors are good.
Oh,
My
yeah.
gosh, you're gonna be a mess.
Right.
It's gonna be too far. But if you really want to scare someone in a comic and whatnot, you have to go above and beyond.
No doubt.
You gotta do the
And
absolute
yet,
most.
details has to be something.
You have to be immersed in the artwork and whatnot. If something doesn't feel right, something feels off, or something's unintentionally funny, it's gonna throw the whole game off. So even horror films have that problem too.
Right.
So a comic has to work harder to be scarier.
Okay.
Artwork
Alright.
has to be solid. It can't be it can't be wasteful. You gotta make every panel count.
Yeah. Okay.
Every
cool.
panel has to
Now-
count.
Hold on. Since we keep talking about Cross, I'll explain what Cross is to those who are unfamiliar with it.
Oh, sure. Go ahead.
I'm only going to say one scene. That's all that matters, because this is when I stopped reading the book. I was like, I'm good. I am absolutely okay. So it's a family of 3. It's a husband, a wife, and their little daughter. Yeah, you know the scene I'm talking about. And because he got lucky, because he suffocated one of the infected Cross people with salt, he thought salt was their weakness. So he tried the stupid witch trick of putting a circle of white salt around you to protect you from the Cross. And they had an entire horde of crossed men chasing them down. So he backs up to a tree and he surrounds himself with the salt. And he's like, good, we'll be safe behind the salt. And he, calls on protecting his family. And he's smiling with the salt. And then you see the one leader of the pack that across is smiling. And you turn the page. And it's both pages. One full scene covers the whole
Double
book.
page spread, right?
Yeah.
It is a picture of both he and his wife being anally raped.
Yeah.
His stomach has been cut open and his guts are spilling out while he's being raped. And the only thing that remains of their daughter is her lower body from her belly button down, and they're ripping her in half from her ankles.
Oh my goodness.
I can literally imagine it. I know exactly what this page looks like.
Yeah, me too. I have it in my head.
And this is why there will never be a Crossed movie.
Right.
It would be watered down and wasteful.
How
and
about
no
you,
point.
Drogo? What do you think needs to be included in a comic book to make me afraid, to make us afraid, going to sleep at night?
Slender
Never
Man.
again.
Slender Man. Oh, why?
Because
Explain, because I'm sure we're all familiar with what a Slender Man is.
I mean, the guy's mad clean. Just comes up.
He's mad clean. He's mad clean.
He's mad clean.
8 foot
Just walks
tall.
up. If there was 2 of me, that's basically his height. And just like comes up to you, like doesn't even say nothing, just takes you. And
Okay.
You don't even know what these kids are like missing or dead or anything like that. You don't know what's going on. It's too much lore than that. And
Okay.
for me, it just scares the hell out of me. Like, there's a dude with no face, dressed up, clean as hell. Like,
Yeah, right, for real.
No, that was a Freddy laugh.
Yeah.
yeah,
Five Nights.
Yes. Now,
Exactly.
Okay, so, all right. Now, we play games here, of course.
Of course.
And again, we already spoke about the hardest thing, which is novels, and then of course
I watch
comic
people
books.
play games. Yes.
It's okay. I watch you play games more than I play it myself. So
Exactly.
I know.
Right.
Markiplier, Jacksepticeye life.
Absolutely. And now, I mean, we can really speak about these scary games, but it's very simple, and honestly, I think it's
Easier
easier
in a game.
to be afraid in a game than it is to
More-
watch a
but
movie.
so many people fail at it.
Yeah.
But here's a game that does it well, and it's one of the games I always like to revisit. I play this game more than anything when it comes to like a horror themed genre type game. Is actually Resident Evil 4.
Oh,
Resident
Okay,
Evil
okay,
4
okay.
I revisit so much because people will argue that like 2 and 3 and all that were
I'm one of those
better,
people.
But the
Nah.
reason I like 4 is obviously the world is more immersive because
Yeah,
you don't have
yeah.
JPEG background or pre-rendered background.
That's absolutely true.
The tank controls are still there to give you the helplessness feeling, but it's not so overbearing where like put gun down, walk away, pull gun out, turn around, aim at head.
And that's why it's so helpless when you play the previous ones. Like, can you imagine Nemesis chasing your butt down in front of a
Yes,
pre-rendered
yes, 4 all the way.
dog. Nemesis chasing you down in front of a pre-rendered background. You know how helpless is that? What can you do? I can't walk behind me because it's a pre-rendered
You want to feel more
background.
helpless when you're watching a cutscene. You have to press A.
Oh yes.
Oh, I remember I played Resident Evil 2 and whatnot as a kid, and I remember Maya, my youngest sister, was deathly afraid of the lickers.
Yo,
I'm-
I still.
Oh yeah.
Deathly afraid. Even when it came to the movies, she'd get so scared. Yeah, she was not
Oh,
with
yeah.
it.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember I handed off the controller to my dad, and he tried he actually ended up killing a licker on the first shotgun try. And I'm like,
Wow.
I'm sitting here like I'm like yes,
Lucky
I'm
shot.
failing. Like I'm failing. I'm missing. Oh, we got questions.
But the older
Scare the
games
jazz out
did
of
scare the jazz out of me more than Resident Evil 4. Yeah,
Or
you know.
you remember when you would open the door and it was just be dark? And you
Yeah,
didn't
'cause
know it was
they-
on the other
yeah.
side. I thought that was so
And
trollish.
see, the older games had a lot more jump scare to it
No doubt.
than 4. 4
They had to.
especially if you spoke Spanish. Resident Evil 4, they kind of warned you ahead of time.
Rule number
Right.
one.
Now,
Rule number one to playing Resident Evil 4. You ain't no Spanish, you're dead.
Yeah.
Wow,
Now, mind you, like like, I remember Resident Evil 1. The ambience was the biggest thing about it, and what made it even more, scary was that you couldn't joggle your camera around.
Yeah.
That set angle of that
fixed
camera is
camera
what
makes you
you're gonna
helpless.
stay
Yeah.
on.
That relies off of helplessness, and and
Yes.
that brings me back to what I wanted to
They
say
swarm
before
all over
on
you.
those who
Oh.
tried their hardest with little material there, and they still were able to elicit the horror feel. Castlevania, specifically Castlevania 1,
Okay,
not
there we
2,
go.
because 2 was just a grind fest of RPG. Blah 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 blah. blah.
Yeah.
Right.
Castlevania 1, vanilla, fresh out the box, the first installment. You had that slow whip.
Oh, that was helplessness.
Slow whip. The whoosh, whoosh. And the worst thing is you couldn't heal yourself. How did you heal yourself? You had to smack a random brick and get lucky to find chicken in the wall.
But that was funny.
It
See,
was-
that was some sort of comical relief within. Like, who's gonna eat fried chicken when you're? Like, are you kidding me?
Listen, man.
Yes.
Listen, man. It's
But with those, like,
Castlevania.
8-bit
Anything is
graphics,
possible.
you had like these meshed over like things that you didn't know what it was, but that's their movement, the hopping where you had their slow whipping made you feel.
Was it like a
helpless.
whole
Most
rotisserie chicken? Like, or was it like
Oh
a
no,
wing?
it was full
It
like
was-
rotisserie. Like it was plated and everything. Like
It was like
It was on a spin it. It was a spin
listen.
job.
It was like in a package. If it was just fresh out the package but cooked.
it was,
Right.
it was-
The
you know, like if you
supermarket.
go to ShopRite and you get like the chickens that are already pre-cooked and you just
Yeah,
pop it
exactly.
open the thing and then here's my dinner. Like that's what you find in the world. Cotton chicken.
Okay, so now we have a couple of comic books here that, and
Yeah,
so
yeah.
of course, which is the same
Witchblade,
thing,
yeah.
obviously. Now, is there anything? Now let me, because I listen. I read this.
Oh man,
And
I
I
have
gotta
not
say-
read this.
Say again what it is.
Oh, this is H.P. Lovecraft's Crafts.
English?
Crafts.
Do you speak it?
Right, English.
English.
The Dunwich Horror. Now, you don't know what H.P. Lovecraft. It's just the best thing in the world. This is the guy who made Cthulhu. Cthulhu, and
Yeah.
everything that I'm afraid about to see.
If you ever play Bloodborne, that is strictly inspired from it.
Absolutely. If you've seen Evil Dead, the Necronomicon he made it. He created the Necronomicon.
Nice.
That's the reason why the Evil Dead ever came to be. So, but yes, I read this, and it was okay. It was okay for what it was. It's still it's suffered from the same thing that we're talking about right now. And honestly, the only time that this caught my attention is like, oh, I gotta turn to the next page, and I was afraid was when the gore came to be. And the gore ended on a page, and it required me to turn the page. Yes. Yes.
That just brought back.
Yes.
Okay, well, I'm gonna wire it back to actual books without visual horror. I'll let you finish, but that's gonna be. You just reminded me of a story.
Yeah. So, but it suffered from that very same thing. Now, let me ask you a question. I know you got Witchblade. You have what was it? What was that again?
Just 30 days
30
in.
days.
30 Days a Night. Now, is there any other things that you guys read? Again, I'm sure you guys have gone
Battle
into all this stuff that you guys read. Of course, it's October. Why not? Right.
There's
Right.
one comic I wish I would have brought was Nail Biters.
Yes,
Yes.
Nailbiter is amazing, but at the same time though, it falls on a very how can I put it? It's like it reminded me of like less horror, more suspenseful type of drama.
Right.
It's about the guy who was trying to wasn't it a cannibal,
was
and he was trying to make
was-
himself like help the detective.
Right.
Right. It was that story.
I guess
of,
like the horror element really lies in the origin of the town.
The Animal
It's just
Lecter
like
type of ish.
there's a town that just pumps out serial killers every year. Like
Right.
every year there's a new serial killer. It's like they're born and bred there. So that's the weird kind of like what's in the air, what's in the water. Is it something that's genetic at this point? So I think that's where the horror element comes from, like the fear and the unknown.
Of the
Maybe
unknown, right.
there's something sick about this particular city that makes these types of serial killers.
Right.
Try to make it a tourist attraction. Everyone wants to profit.
Okay, all right.
So I think does because I have a tendency to go for the supernatural detective type story,
All right.
And that's the
and
perfect one
it's
for
it's
you.
it's a trend for me, like like Black Magic from also Image
Which I have
story.
yet to read.
Yeah,
It's
really
really good.
good. Really, I know you don't like things that are black and white,
But that's
but
really
that
good.
artwork
Yeah.
though, that artwork though,
Bellum. Bellum is another thing, which is also good, by the way.
Which is also kind of detective-y, isn't it?
Actually, not necessarily. It's just it's a flip on the main character is the villain, is the antagonist.
Right.
Villain.
Yeah, and the entire story is him trying to become a better person. He went through therapy, and he actually made it to be completely cured. And throughout the entire story, he has flashbacks of when he was technically the Joker, if you will. And that was the entire story of what if the Joker became a good person, going through a lot of intense and extensive therapy, and now he's helping the authorities to capture someone else who were inspired by his very own deeds back in the day.
Serial killer is a genre.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely, there's so many.
We just don't call it noir anymore.
Like Hannibal Lecter,
you know,
all this types of stuff.
Yeah.
Like, there's a whole genre of that. There's a fascination with both the real and the fictitious.
Now, would that be under suspense thriller?
I think it overlaps quite a few, depending
Gotcha.
on the nature of the killer and whatnot. It could be suspense, it can be gore, it can be psychological, it can be a lot of those things wrapped in one.
Now, if Conjuring came out with a comic book, would you guys read it?
Yes.
Wait, what?
Sure.
Conjuring, right?
Not Conjuring, yeah.
Okay.
It would have the same effect. It's like if Poltergeist had a comic book, it wouldn't have the same effect. But I would definitely give it a look because I love those movies.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just thought about something that, because I was thinking about things that are considered horror just because of its theme, even though it's not actually scary. The theme is horror. But then I thought of something that does kind of feel scary in that situation. And it's plain in our face, like broad daylight, except the irony of the name, Blackest Night.
Oh.
Okay. By all means, that is a horror comic.
Yes, that is
I don't care what no one says. That is horror. Horror.
And DC seldom does it.
Let me tell you.
I just thought, because I was thinking about the scene.
And that's like your jam.
Yes, I love Black. And I looked at my ring, and that's when I realized it. I looked at the Red Lantern ring. I was like, when they needed all the lanterns just to beat one Black Lantern, who was the Lich King of DC.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Literally the Lich King.
And you know, and it's funny because, you know, it's horror in the sense of, first of all, you can call these guys creatures at this point. It's resurrected from the dead, right? Right. There's zombies, but not necessarily zombies. There's zombies only in the same namesake that they were brought back from the dead, but they still had some sort of their consciousness of their memories of their lives prior, and they acted on that to make their old friends who are still living victims.
Yes.
That's what made it extremely scary.
It's the Power Girl versus Superman fight.
Exactly,
Right.
and it's
Or zombie Superman, rather.
Right. And it just comes down to, you know, helplessness. That's that could also what elucidates fear.
And
Helplessness.
And to take it a step further, was still that helplessness is when the White Ring was using Dead Man to manipulate and stuff, and everybody had to do that deal with the devil pact when he resurrected them, like when he brought back Hawkman, Hawkgirl, and he's like, all right, you're gonna do what I say or I'm gonna kill you again. And it's like, what? Is there no saving grace in this world? Like,
by the way, the scariest thing in that book is Plastic Man. By all means, on account of is the scariest thing. Now, let me ask you this: can this Dark Days Batman thing can be considered horror?
Yes.
Or just too comic-y to it for it to be horror?
It is.
What can it be?
Nah, it can be considered.
It's straddling
horror.
both. I think it's straddling both.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's why I like it.
Okay.
It's literally why I mess with it.
I feel like it hasn't reached that point to consider a horror until we read that one issue, the Batman Who Laughs.
Yeah. I mean, he's straight from Hellraiser.
That's the apex right there.
He's straight from Hellraiser. He's the guy from Hellraiser, by all means.
That's where I say it's not there, but I know for a fact, like, since we were talking about other games too, like that, I would just throw Dead Space in there.
Oh, by all means.
oh yeah, we
Dead
actually
Space.
mentioned Dead Space last week. too.
Oh yeah.
Rest in peace, because, you know, the visual game closed officially.
Did they?
Yeah.
So no more Dead Space games?
Nope.
Oh no, my heart hurts.
We'll never know whatever happens in Earth, because, you know, that's what it led it up to.
Right.
But yeah, Bat Metal is definitely horror because it's nightmarish, it's monstrous, it's grotesque interpretations of Batman, and that's its strength because seldom does DC put out something that's legitimately scary. Everything's all save the world.
Save the world. Now it's just completely hopeless.
Not this
No,
one.
no, there is no saving. There's no stopping them.
I'm sure you guys read Metal 3 that came out, right?
Drowning.
Yeah.
Right?
No,
Issue
that
3.
the one before. What happened to Superman, of course.
Oh,
We're not gonna
that
spoil
L
it.
he took.
We're not going to spoil anything yet.
I'm not.
It'll be something for another day. But
He's
yeah,
so dumb.
He paid for it, by the way.
He's so dumb.
Okay, cool. I'm glad that we're all here. No, more or so or less, we're on the same page here, you know?
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys have any, I mean, what else you guys read? You guys read anything else? I mean,
that's why I'll
there you
segue
go.
to the actual literature book. I can't remember the name of it. I'm very upset about myself. But basically the story is you are the main character of the story. It's one of those like create your own adventure kind of books where you turn the page, you make a choice on a page and you turn to that
Old
page.
school Goosebumps books. Yeah.
See, I wasn't really scared of. Wow, did I really come out? I wasn't really scared of Goosebumps, but this book made me feel it like where I would read like the first passage and like, no, I'm gonna do the other thing instead. Like, I was
You were cheating. You went back. You did a flash. You went out and come back.
Yeah, I flash pointed the hell out of those books. Like, I was legitimately scared.
What's wrong with you?
And that reminds me of one of like a really old school like point and click game called Clock Tower.
Ooh.
Clock Tower. Huh.
Yeah,
I
Clock
haven't heard
Tower.
that in a while.
It's legit.
Yo.
I even drew a piece on it too. And that's a game that gives you the exact same feel where it's to create your own adventure where every choice you make could either kill you or progress the game or just be a damn like nothing dead end. Okay. Ironically, when you die, it's called a dead end. And the reason why I thought of that is because there's one of the ways where your character dies. You're this girl named Jessica. I think her name is Jessica Barrows. I think that's her name. And there's this scene where you find like this troll or like this man beast in a cage in the garage. And the way he eats her is the same way that you get eaten in the Turn the Page book. I'm like, and you're accompanied by I think you're accompanied with a dwarf in the story in the book, and it's kind of like I felt really like I stopped reading for a while. So this is one of the few books I finished as a kid too. Like when it comes to like just words, I didn't do a lot of reading as a kid. I like comics instead. I like pictures. I draw obviously. Yeah, right. But it was the fact that not only were you completely weak to this troll that you were supposed to be able to kill because you would walk through this place fighting monsters, your friend who's with you literally just watches you die and walks away.
Bro.
It is
loyalty.
No, he couldn't save you. You were stronger than him, and he came to that realization that there was nothing he could do.
Oh, that's even sadder.
Yeah, he gave up. He's like, yo, I can't even do anything about it. If he couldn't handle this thing, what chance of me saving him?
Now, with that said,
came out in '95. Wow.
Which are the?
I had to want to look
Clock
it up.
Tower.
Oh, you're looking it up. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Whoa, this is 1985. Oof.
Now,
the dinosaur of a game.
let's jump into a comic book that I'm sure, by all means, we'll say yes all across the board. Spawn.
Yes.
Spawn, by all means, can be
Hands
considered obviously supernatural first and foremost,
Hands down.
and then it is a horror comic book.
Yes.
And the thing about Spawn is even the coloring of this comic book
Is
gives us the air of it being a horror. And it just gets better as the years pass by. Because if you see the comic books of now, like Spawn now, it's gritty, it's dark, you know. Unfortunately, you know, Detective Comics, Batman, like their self-contained titles aren't that, you know, horror. It's still contained in their superhero genre, if you will. But I want to touch on the fact of the new Spawn movie that's coming out.
Yes, it is.
Which we also we threw the fact that they're not gonna be paid for this. By the way, none of them will. The actors aren't gonna be paid for this. They're gonna be doing it out of the good graces, and they're gonna love Spawn. That's why they're gonna do this for free.
I don't know why that bothers me so much. I'm just
listen.
like, what?
You're working with something the top father, man.
I mean,
right?
Just courtesy, like.
But I mean, I'm sure they're gonna get food.
I mean,
they're gonna get catered. You know, at least.
So.
You know,
I would hope so.
Whereas Kevin Smith's Sam and Twitch, I'm sure it's gonna be a full blown production on this.
Yeah.
Of course, I just feel like he probably couldn't afford to pay these actors because he had enough budget for the actual.
Well, of course, yeah, the $10,000.
Not necessarily for the cast.
Yeah, it was $10,000, right? It was 10,000.
10,000.
Wasn't it?
No.
10. Was it 10 million? It was 10 million.
10 million for something like this. $10,000
it was all fun.
One day on a set, I'm sure.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, it's funded just by him.
No, it's Blumhouse as well.
Blumhouse.
The same place that the Get Out,
Visit,
all these types of really
The
pop-in
Visit.
movies that came out. So I have hope for the story. I hope it doesn't look hacky. You know what I mean? That's my fear and whatnot. But you can make a good horror movie on a very low budget. You don't need a ton of money.
No doubt.
But I guess with me and Spawn, I like the look. I want to see chains flying out.
What you want is the old 1999.
I want what I saw in the comic book. Not necessarily. He does extra. Like, he's extra in the comic book.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're gonna need you need like at least $250 million to do whatever he does in the comic
I think
books.
because he's a new director, he's not gonna get that kind of funds. Like that's like Marvel money right there. And though Todd McFarlane is a legend, it's hard to have access to that kind of funds because we don't know how these studios don't know how successful it's gonna be after 20 years of it being pretty dormant and lots of talks back and forth. So I understand that low kind of budget.
$10 million has changed when it comes to these companies.
When it comes to these types of films that you want to make, of course. That's tough.
Make Spawn a cape movie.
Oh,
they're not.
typical, yeah.
He already confirmed it. It's gonna be a horror movie.
Horror. It's
horror
gonna
movie.
be. Yeah, like you said, there should be a Batman horror film.
There should
Which
be.
would be-
I'm gonna do it.
So speaking of,
I'm doing it.
Speaking of what you do, you come from a story writing background.
Yeah.
Since I brought up a book
Mm-hmm.
that I've read, no pictures, how would you elicit a horror feel in just literature?
In just literature?
Yes.
Oof. I mean, okay, so.
Okay, your
let me-
seatbelt, people.
No. No.
Brace yourself.
Oh goodness! Oh, don't put me on the spot, people. They're putting me on the spot here. All right. Well, when it comes to no comic books, just straight literature.
Just
Yeah.
straight wording.
Okay. Okay. Let's
I mean, you
see.
can talk about what the cover of the book will be, but once we
No,
get
no,
inside,
covers.
it's just
Yeah.
letters.
No. I would go with the irony. I would go with irony. I would make something. I would make it in a sense of the audience won't know something that the characters do know.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I would go about it all the way through. And at the end, what?
Oh, no, I'm smiling. Like I actually like that idea.
Yeah. It's been done in Broadway. It's been done, on stage, of course. I would use as much imagery, of course, I'm winging it here, but I mean that's something that I would use all the way. I would use imagery. I mean, I use 10 pages of straight imagery. Why not? I will make my words give you read the book. And by mind, you're going to say, you know what? This song goes well with this scene. I want you to see as I'm writing down every sentence, every step is going to be a sentence. Every single page is going to be a storyboard that I want you to see in your head.
Like a combo kind of thing.
Exactly. By the time you read this book, I want you, every single person would have their own version of what song, what cast that you want to get from actual celebrities. I want you to tell me what color of blood you think this will fit. I'm gonna, it's all about imagery. It's all about imagination. That is the biggest thing, especially when it comes to novels, because there's barely any imagination in this.
Yeah.
Everything is
It's
here.
put there. It's
The
put
narration, the
It's done for
dialogue,
you.
everything is there. But novels, man.
Gotta get creative.
For
Because I
real.
don't know if you ever read any Stephen King's novels of like the way he describes scenes. I'm talking
Yeah.
detail. I mean, I've never read something so detailed to describe all these backstories of backstories, every single character,
And
this whole town.
One other thing is make the antagonist put you. The reader is gonna be inside the antagonist, or the monster, the creature, the antagonist head the entire
Right.
time. Make him not relatable in a sense, but make them understand. It's like, okay, wow, this is their mindset. This is their train of thought. Just don't give. Okay, a monster is a monster, and this is what they do primarily. Boom. No, give them a sense of. Wait, I never thought of this way. This is okay. I understand, but then once you put this thing on next, beside the other thing that's is being victimized, it's just like, okay, now I have to choose sides. Wait a minute, what's gonna happen next? That there's so many things that I would put in a novel. I mean, that you can play with a lot of things.
I guess you would want an antagonist that challenges your very established views of what's
Your
good,
own
what's
moral
just,
code.
your whole moral
And it
code.
doesn't have to be a human being.
Yeah, of
It
course.
doesn't have to be a human
of
being.
course.
Exactly, yeah.
And that's where a lot of stories fail when they make a villain so
Relatable.
far on the left of evil that there's like no redeeming quality there. There's nothing to grasp onto.
Pretty much unrealistic.
Unrealistic, like something that's just so evil. It's like, okay, you're good, he's bad.
And we've seen this with a lot of antagonists.
I'll
But this
bring
is
this
why
up.
John Wick works so well, because it was flipped to the protagonist. Here, we give you this protagonist who's broken as hell. But why is he broken? It's just... It's the entire, it's like, okay, we're going to see this
He's so
movie.
OP.
We're going to see this movie as to why he's broken. And everyone else is going to tell you the story bit by bit. Yeah.
So that brings us. So here's a very famous antagonist, and a lot of people relate it to the Night King. So I will go to the better version of the Night King, which is the Lich King. And he's one of those like destroy everything in the world. It's like he has this massive undead army, and he seems like one of those guys who just wants to ruin everything. But if you go into the books, you'll find a little bit more of his backstory, and this is what makes him more of a redeemable, a redeemable character, because you have Arthas, who was the prince who wanted to redeem his kingdom after they were onslaughted by the undead. He ended up being manipulated by a demon to take up a cursed sword that would give him the power to fight the undead. But while he was trapped in the northern regions, he had nothing but the whispers of whispers of madness from the Lich King at the time, and the cursed souls in the sword.
Frostmourne, yeah.
So you find out the history, like, okay, well, we know Arthas was turned evil by his Dark Masters, but
Right.
who were the Dark Masters? So you go to the original Lich King, and you find out this whole fortress that he built off of was on top of a prison of an old god. Now, old gods, which you only really learn when you start digging into the books and finding the background when it comes to Warcraft, is that they come from a place called the Void.
Right.
Now, what the Void is, they seem as evil and chaotic, and all they want to do is destroy and eradicate all life. So the light, the holy lights and the magic and what we see as God and goodness is their enemy, obviously. But then you start delving into what the light's all about, and you realize that they're very biased and very like Old Testament-y. Like you follow me or you're gone, and it's like you're gonna live my way or the highway type stuff. And then like you start to understand that these two are just at war, and they're manipulating us in between. And when you see their war from the outside picture, you're like, all right, you guys are only chaotic because it brings out your enemy. You mess with things that they find dear. So when they get involved, you bring out your enemies. Now you go for them. You're not about chaos and destruction and eradicating all life because it doesn't mean anything. You want to have fun with what you have. They try to police you. So you're like, oh, you're trying to police us with your stuff? We're going to mess with you. We're going to break your toys, make you mad, and come outside and fight us.
Right.
And then when you look on the outside, you're like, so this whole evil villain really isn't as evil as you want. He's just a pawn in the bigger player's game.
It's like Spawn. Spawn is the middle of this. That's why you know the hell
why I
and
thought
the
of it.
heaven, right? It's the it's like, okay, the police squad and of course the people. That's what he said. They're right. He's right in the middle. Nolly Maul says the best bad guys or the villains or the antagonists are the ones that think they are the good guys.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's the truth. Right.
World of Warcraft,
True.
Illidan.
Absolutely. Sephiroth, by all means.
Sephiroth.
That goes down the line.
Oh God, yeah, Sephiroth.
That goes
really.
down the line. That crosses genres. Of bad
Yeah, that
guy.
definitely
Like,
does.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, Mario.
Darth Vader. Darth Vader.
Believes
You
that
know,
he is essentially a good guy.
Palpatine. Yeah, absolutely. By all
At
means
the
and
heart of
purposes.
it.
Look at Kylo Ren.
Calibrimbor.
Kylo Ren.
Huh?
Jeesh.
Calibrimbor.
Okay, there you go. But okay, so
You know what that is, right?
who?
Calibrimbor.
Who's that?
The Ringmaker. Lord of the Ring.
Oh, he's on his Lord of the Rings kick right now.
Lord of the Rings. Okay, you playing that? Was it the Shadow
Mordor. You want to? If you guys have not ever played Shadow of Mordor, do it, and then play the new game called Shadow of War.
I play Shadow. I haven't played the new one yet.
War. It's the greatest
Good.
thing ever.
There you go, guys.
I almost feel that could be like a random gameplay for Darkened Hour where we talk about the lore while showing gameplay.
I mean, if you talk
telling
about the Lord of the Rings world, we'll be there
Listen.
for like 8 hours straight.
Listen.
yeah, easy
I'm
material,
sorry.
easy content.
Right.
I'm gonna tell you right now, the most like important character to me is Calibrimbor. I really don't care about his host, like the body he's like encrusted.
Yeah, that's
into.
it wasn't the one who he's the one who made the ring.
No,
He's like the
yeah,
forger of the ring?
Calibrimbor is the high elf king who made the king
Okay.
all the rings.
It's like we
Yeah.
care about Castiel, we don't care about Jimmy.
Yeah, I don't really care.
I don't care about Castiel.
I don't really care. I
How
don't
do
really
you not like Castiel?
Because he started as to be such a great angel to like
should
something
be
as
way more
comic
broken.
relief at this point. You
Well,
know?
it's supernatural. If they don't water down, if you start off broken, they water you down or kill you.
But like, I
Well,
was
that
saying,
Factual.
Facts.
All of the broken characters who used to start off in early, are dead.
Dead.
for
yeah.
real. But like I was saying,
Or they're
like,
whack right
as
now.
a person
Or
who's
whack,
been
yeah.
playing and going back to Lord of the Rings, I really don't care about Talion.
Okay.
He's just a ranger to me.
Okay.
It's all about Calibrimbor to me.
All right.
And the guy can enslave orcs if he wanted to, and he's a wraith, so it's
Oh,
like
okay. All right, guys. So we're about 8 minutes shy from wrapping up the show. Now, I want to ask one question. It's very simple, straight to the point. If there's any type of material, whether it be series or film that we've seen, anything at all that would you like to be adapted into either a novel or comic book, which one it is,
it turned to another form of
right,
media?
and then vice versa. Anything that you read, novel or comic, to be turned into adapted into a film, what would be horror, mind you? Let's keep it in horror.
can it also be in games also?
Absolutely, absolutely, yes, even in games.
I was
It's
actually
just
thinking of a
throw it in.
game that
Yeah,
I'd like
yeah.
to see made into
Mhm.
a proper movie.
Sounds
Dead
good.
Space.
Or a proper book.
Mm-hmm.
Horror themed.
Uh-huh.
To be honest with you, I would just say Dead Space to me. I'm a big Dead Space fan because it's
I second that.
the reason.
I'm gonna go ahead.
The reason why I'm saying that is because it's like it deals with horror, religious horror,
And space.
and space,
Whew.
and then it's like at the same time, even though that game sometimes wasn't scary, but the sounds would get you.
Mm-hmm. And if you got audio, good audio,
Yeah,
scary
good
audio,
audio
that's
headsets,
it.
and forget about it. Turn off the light. This is best. Enjoy it.
This is gonna seem left field, but I did mention it at the beginning of the show because we brought up Cthulhu and we brought up H.P. Lovecraft. Our very background on our borders around us,
Yeah.
is H.P. Lovecraft quotes.
Yeah,
So
yep,
since
it's-
I'm gonna stick to H.P. Lovecraft, something that I'm gonna want to see, since it was based off of H.P. Lovecraft, I want to see this turned into a book, but not necessarily the game itself. I'll actually see the movie. I want to see both a movie and a book. The prequel to Bloodborne.
Oh.
The actual
Okay.
creation of the
Okay.
blood churches and what created the beast and the original first hunters. Because if you play Bloodborne, it's definitely a horror story.
Yeah, no
It's
doubt.
like the monsters you fight are already terrifying. Like people rip on Dark Souls and they kind of like belittle how terrifying Bloodborne really is.
No, it's
Bro.
see, Dark Souls is not a. I mean, it has
has
its
horror
horror elements,
elements,
but it's
but it's- yeah.
Bloodborne is
It's
the
horror, yeah.
horror,
Exactly.
counter to that.
Exactly.
Listen,
And especially when there's the one story, I'm trying to try to keep it brief, is when you help this little girl. You're walking through the village and they have incense outside of their house to keep away the monsters. And you go to this little girl and she's crying because her mother went looking for her father because her father's a hunter of monsters. So when you find the father, he's already killed his wife.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
And he goes full beast mode and you have to kill him. You find the body of the mother and you bring the Eternal Darkness for GameCube will be a righteous movie.
Eternal Darkness.
I gotta channel my inner Marv, but
Yeah.
nice.
Righteous.
So
Yes.
so basically you bring back a bow, the brooch of the wife, and you give it to the daughter. So she starts crying, obviously. So when you go back to her when she's done crying, you send her. You can choose to leave her alone, or you can send her to an actual safe church. The problem is you send her by herself.
Why?
So the path she would have to take is climb down this building into a sewer where there are legless
Why?
ghouls, half rat, half crow monsters, and
Yep.
a giant boar that eventually eats the girl.
Yep.
But why?
It's
this
dumb, I
Game
know.
logic. Help us.
Game
help
logic,
us.
yeah.
Help us.
So when you kill the boar and you find Metroid, yes,
Metroid also
I
me-
forgot about
Yes.
that, especially
Yes.
Metroid. Yes, what is
Absolutely.
that? What is the
I
one where
agree.
she gets the corrupted armor? Which one is that called? But that one is like
Yes.
it's
Echoes.
part of the Prime series. Yeah, that would have been Echoes. Yes, that would make a great horror because they made that not too far after what that was around like.
That was straight after. It's still GameCube.
It's GameCube. I'm trying to think. There was a game that came out, and that was like people were like comparing the two because like Resident Evil 4, I think, dropped not too long before that, or something like that. Either way, that's what I was saying. When
Yeah,
you send
yeah.
the girl back, you find out she had an older sister the whole time,
Uh-huh.
and then the sister finds out that her daughter died because you bring back a piece of her clothing, and you leave her alone as she's crying. And when you come back to the house later in the game, she jumped out the window and committed suicide.
Yep.
So you single-handedly kill a
Show
whole
the entire family.
Yeah.
Dumb.
Wow.
and that's just one event.
Yep.
Oh man,
You,
you gotta love it.
you destroyed one.
Yeah,
line.
I think if I had to have a focus, you know how there's a ton of movies, books, comics on Lucifer. I just want to focus,
Lucifer.
not Lucifer. I want to focus on Lilith.
Mother.
Wait.
I want to focus on Lilith.
Wait, Lilith supernatural Lilith or
No,
just
not so
No,
like
no,
Lilith
no,
as in
no.
lore,
Oh,
as
lore,
in like the
okay,
first,
okay.
First woman.
the first
The
woman,
first
how she
woman.
got
Woman.
cast off because she didn't
I
want
like
to
that.
obey Adam.
Yeah, I like that.
I would
like
love
that.
to follow her journey
Ooh.
afterwards.
And the reason why I got so hyped is that like, you know how many people I had to tell them? You know how many people don't know that Lilith was the first woman?
Right,
Yeah, no,
I had to
right,
educate
right.
so many people on that.
And
It was
she's
ridiculous.
and she just defied.
Yeah, that was like she had her own agenda.
She didn't want
Yes.
to submit, so she left. So she
Yep.
became like, I think she went into the water and stuff like that, and then
Uh-huh.
had all the demons and all. She had told all these creatures come. with
Another
her.
reason why I don't like the ocean.
So yeah, like she was defiant, and she's
Yes.
gonna be a misunderstood kind of
That's
character
all she
where
is.
she became evil because being good was kind of BS. Staying in Eden made no sense.
Have you guys ever played American McGee's?
Oh,
Alice,
it's like
yes.
yeah, I have played that. Yes,
Yes.
that game is pretty
I played.
good.
I played
Is it?
both. It's
Okay.
really good.
See, the movie I would always want to see, and I'm still surprised they haven't done this yet. A Cthulhu movie.
Oh,
They
just in
haven't-
general.
Ah.
They haven't done a Cthulhu
You know
movie yet.
what? That's
And if they have, please let me
Which
know.
is funny because the reason why I thought of Bloodborne because
So
they have
weird.
legitimate Cthulhu monsters. Like it started
they
because
do.
of Cthulhu.
That's fine. That's fine. But see, but give me main Cthulhu. First of all, they have things around the Necronomicon, okay, around Cthulhu lore, but they never touch
Dude.
Cthulhu. It's just that we talk about Jesus Christ here.
Because
Give me
it's
Cthulhu movie, people. Come on.
You want to have nightmares, huh?
I do want to have nightmares.
Yes, that's a horror movie.
But yes, that's what I'm talking about. Even in Justice League, they give you two pair of eyes in Justice League because apparently Cthulhu was the god of these Targaryens, not Targaryens. Wow,
Targaryens?
Oh no, Denegar. What? Oh, they're the Hawk girls. The Hawk girl. Thanagar. My bad.
Thangarians. A Thangarian.
Thangarian. There you go.
Wow.
Thanagar. Thanagar. I'm sorry. Hey, Thanagar, Targaryen, tomato. All right.
You really hate Targaryens.
I have to literally pick up this mic.
Their goddess.
You literally mixed up
But-
Game of Thrones.
Listen, why not? Okay, but like I said, like even in Justice League, they have 2 pair of eyes for this. They don't even have
Yeah.
Cthulhu. Give me a Cthulhu movie, and I'll be satisfied. You know, because first of all, it's gonna come out from the ocean. Okay.
Yeah.
By all means, that's strike 1.
Bro, all
right.
I just want to see is a giant wave, and all you see is just tentacles, and you know what's coming out.
And we know, if those who played Magic the Gathering, it'll be just like Emrakul by all
Oh
means.
my
Start
God.
infecting things. Tentacle. We know.
Yo, I wish we had more time to delve in.
We're gonna
We
have
one more
we
episode before Halloween.
have
One more
to
episode
have
before Halloween.
a H.P. Lovecraft episode.
That
Yeah.
and since we have one more episode before Halloween officially drops, we have to talk about Shadows over Innistrad.
a magic episode.
Just a little, just
Well, something,
segue, 'cause you brought
something
up
that inspired that was inspired by H.P. Lovecraft.
Yeah.
because that's definitely was inspired by.
because think about it, because you brought up Emrakul. That entire arc is freaking terrifying. Soren seeing his family. We're not getting into it. Yeah.
But yes, like I
If
said,
you're a Magic the Gathering player, you want to catch next week's episode, we're definitely bringing that up.
But like I said, give me Cthulhu. That'd be awesome. And if Cthulhu's around, there's more other old gods that went in the ocean along with Cthulhu.
Just waiting.
Just waiting. See, aliens don't exist in the space. They exist in the water. This is how we're all gonna die. We're gonna be so busy looking in space, and these guys are gonna come from behind us in the water. Okay.
He's making his own religion.
Okay, no, I'm being Joshism. Okay, we're gonna be too busy looking at the stars, astrology, and all crap, and then tentacles gonna come. Tentacles come in and they'll pull us down little by little,
Like
slowly, bro.
Not even like fast.
Like
just
it's
like
We know more of the space than we know of our oceans.
gonna let you-
Why do you think Why do you think? Don't you think that's because the old gods ruled it? Of course. Aliens are in the ocean.
you're like the man on the street.
He's a doomsayer.
The end is nigh.
He's a doomsayer right now.
You just pulled the Rick and Morty. If you did not notice that episode with the giant head, screw you. I'm not gonna pay attention to the cross. I'm gonna pay attention to the guy.
Think about it. I'm about to go on a rant before we get off air for a second here. The book Necronomicon talks about these celestial beings coming from space, having this war on Earth, and then they get sealed in the water. We don't know anything about what the ocean is capable of.
Yeah.
Come on, by all means. We still have Voyager 1 and 2 up in space. It just left our cosmos.
Yeah.
We still can go, 1,000 feet underwater? By all means. What are we talking about here? It was a horror movie. Go underwater. That's a horror movie right then and there.
You have to
Just
pass out
underwater.
paymphets on the street and warn people of the oncoming
The
apocalypse.
nigh is near.
The sea
The
might
nigh
The
is
near is near.
near.
The end
nigh
is
is
near.
near.
The end is nigh. Whatever. Okay, guys, I'm done.
You're those
I'm
crazy
done, guys.
people in the city and
He's a
stuff like that.
doomsayer.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching just now.
This is the Darkened Hour, folks.
Brought to you by
This
Darkened
is
Hour.
exactly. This is your time to pre-order Josh's Bible.
Yeah, seriously.
I'll write a Bible on this.
Praise our new overlords, Cthulhu. They're taking over.
Yo,
Just for 7 payments of $6.66.
66 cents. Hey guys, Cthulhu for president. I'm sure he'd be a better guy in office than Mr. RNG right now. But anyway, guys, this is our show. What a way to end the show, huh?
No.
Oh my lord. I could write a book on this. You don't understand my fear of oceans. It comes from somewhere, people. There's a source material behind all this.
Yes.
If you actually
Anyway,
want to
guys.
see this book, you start sending us some whiskey for
Oh,
Josh.
no.
He accepts payment in whiskey.
Whiskey.
That's-
He
yeah,
expect
sure.
pay him in Jack Daniels.
Oh,
Jack
my
Daniels,
goodness.
do it. Honey, Jack Daniels.
Hey, Jack, sponsor us, man.
Sponsor.
Cool.
You're playing them
Anyways.
all,
Out
Jack.
there.
All right,
No
guys. Well,
problem.
this is our show. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, all of you guys, to be great sports. Great, just back and forth because this is great. This can't be not done without you guys. So thank you very much.
Shout out to the chat for
Yeah.
taking in this, the
Word.
opinions, the
Oh,
comments.
yeah.
Guys help build the conversation, so it's definitely welcomed.
Absolutely, guys. Shout outs.
To Speaky Mind Radio, our platform.
Yes. Fortunes of Solitude, Joker's Child.
See.
Yes.
Yes,
anything
and
else.
also Force Solitude is having a Halloween party.
Yes.
Yo,
Saturday.
October-
Saturday and
Saturday and Tuesday, both the Saturday and the Tuesday. The actual day of Halloween.
Okay.
And they're doing a costume contest. I don't know what I'm gonna be. I'm cross between Arthur and
Arthur?
Arthur, as in like the aardvark.
Walking
oh
down the
my
street.
god.
Wait. Meme author?
Yeah, I was gonna be.
Listen to the rhythm of the street. Open up your mind, open up
It's
your
not the
ears.
same after there's all these memes. Okay, I want to hear anything about the song.
And I say,
Or I want to do something more obscure. I want to do Donnie Darko when he had like the skeleton
yes,
outfit on and
absolutely.
stuff. So I'm caught between the two.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
So that's my shout outs. I want to see everybody dressed up on Saturday.
Oh, I'm
Yo.
gonna be V. I'm gonna be V.
Oh,
You're gonna be
okay.
you?
Bring on the Guy Fawkes.
Yeah, Guy Fawkes. And anyone who says I'm from Anonymous, I'm gonna kick you in the face.
yeah, seriously.
For real.
Well, you're gonna be at a comic book store, so I trust they know the difference.
Anyway, yes. So,
I trust they know the song.
anything else? Any shout outs? Any shout outs, guys? No.
Shout out to Villainy Game.
Yes. All right. Cool. All right. You
Squad up.
Gnarly Marv, you do this. This is you.
What have you done?
Get your mans, man.
Whose man's is this?
Whose man? Get your
You
mans.
have infected him with your persona.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Well, I'm guessing this is it.
Yeah.
We'll be
Yeah.
here next week, same time, same day,
Yeah.
and same
Place.
darkened time.
Yes.
Yes, guys.
Like, comment,
Um,
subscribe, share with your friends.
Please. All right, guys. And as the sun set on this very, very horrific world.
As usual, guys. Oh man.
Oh, the horrific throw you off.
You threw me over the heart.
Ah, buddy.
Oh wow.
I'll do it one more time.
Yeah.
And as the sun sets on this most horrific world.
Make peace with your end, for the hour of twilight falls.
I want to say something after that. It's so
I'm terrified.
great. Yes. All right, guys. Take it easy. This is Joshua X Snowheart.
Tia LaBeouf.
Stars.
Nemesis here.
In the Lich King,
Peace out.
Frostmourne hungers.